Okay, 95. I figured a way how to get around this stupid picture thing, so I'm just going to do a video for you because I can get that online by myself. This is what we call the bunker pasture, and it's just this concrete building that's up here. And this is the electric fence charger we have out here, and it goes to its grounding rod, and it's in the ground quite a bit. And then this just has an extension cord that runs down and across the driveway to our temporary power pole until we have power to the house. On the particular fence here, this was what we call the bunker pasture, and we're using plastic insulators. And I think they're T11s or T10s, T-somethings. There's a couple different kinds, so you want to make sure that you've got all the same kind if you have to go and buy other ones. Otherwise, instead of going this way on the flat end, they actually hook over the end that's more of the pointy triangle. Anyway, we've got 4 strand here, and apparently this one, there we go. Just poly wire. I don't know if you can see it very well. Apparently not. Well, maybe it comes up better later. But anyway, it's like a nylon, and it's impregnated with steel running through it in all directions. And it's not very thick gauge steel. But anyway, so it goes around here, and this is basically where we put all the incoming animals and make sure they get used to the fence and they respect the fence, and then we turn them out into different paces. Okay, this is what we call the river pasture. It's broken into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections, and right over there is the first one I started with, and it's about maybe acre and a half, and we just kept adding on and adding on. And I wish I had taken this video just a little bit ago, because you could really see a distinct change in all the different paddocks going across. This was 2 to 3 years of non-mowing, no animals on it, and it was probably chest high on me a couple months ago. You can kind of see where there's some stragglers the horses didn't pick up yet. But this has worked out really, really well, and the horses were on this until about maybe a week ago. And then the one that is, trying not to make you dizzy, the one way over there that seems to be the greenest, right there, that one they haven't been on for maybe a couple months now. And we'll go down there and I'll walk the pasture so you can see how it is. This one is, the electric fence is run by a battery electric fence charger. You can also get the solar ones, but for some reason Z decided to go with the battery one, which in a lot of ways is kind of nice. And I guess while I'm here, I should mention the alleyway. We've got an alleyway that runs between all the paddocks like this, and telephone pole's going to get in the way, and through that way, push them out to the different ones so we can keep them out of the ones we don't want them in. We need to have a lot of these. I have one for each strand of wire through a gate, which is kind of a pain in the rear end, but it does work. The horses respect the fence really good. They are Clydesdale, so they're really tall. This is just about chest high on me, and so the horses aren't going to go in or under, and they're actually pretty wary of it. This is a problem with alleyways, however, is where the animals walk, especially in Oregon, it gets pretty torn up. And I'm going to show you the north barn here in a second. You can see how it really gets torn up. Yep, if it's really, really wet and you got really, really heavy animals or a lot of animals, it makes a really nice trail. And I don't know if you can see the boys up there, but there's Whiskers looking at us. And hopefully this is kind of can show you the difference where one grazing was, and then they were pulled off for 3 weeks, and then the next crop of grass is coming up. Our weather is starting to turn nice now, so the grass is starting to grow really good, but I would say the grass over on this side is about knee deep on me now, and then on this side here it's maybe 6 to 8 inches tall. And as you progress that way, it just gets a little shorter and a little shorter because we ended up over there. And I don't remember if I mentioned it, but each of these paddocks is like this one's maybe not quite an acre, and then we go to like 2 to 3 acres here. I'm guessing it's probably 2.5-ish. And then as we went that way, the one on the far end's probably about 4 acres. And then on the other side of that tree line, which is where the creek is, there's probably about another 5 or 6 acre pasture. So this is what we call the river pasture. And so far I'm up to I don't know, about 5 or 6. And by the time I get done, I'll probably end up with probably about 20 different pastures. And the reason I'm having so many of it is because we have elk and deer and other wildlife that come through here. And I just want to make sure that they're still able to have their wildlife area, and yet we can still farm in that way. It's best of both worlds. Once again, this is the north barn, and you can see where all the traffic, and unfortunately this is where some of the winter water drains through. Let me catch my breath in a second. Hang on. That was a bit of a climb up the hill. And so this is where all the muck and mire is, but at least it's kind of contained in one area, so it is salvageable. It's not completely like this forever. So this is a wetlands pasture, and this is some trees we had to take down. But I let the horses in here first, which is why there's only a single strand. And there is a lot of grass and stuff out here. You just can't see it in this particular end, because this is the end that tends to be wetter. It's not really a wetlands until you get to that very corner way on the other side of those trees. And but we're gonna put the goats in here, so I'm gonna change this to a 3-strand, put 2 low and 1 high. They don't challenge the fence really, but I want to get a bunch of this stuff cleaned up out of here so we can get some of the deadfalls out. And there's maybe 12 to 15 acres in here. It's really hard to tell when you're tromping around and you can't have anything really to reference to. But just a second, we'll drive down a little bit so you can see if I can do this without running off the road. But again, this hasn't probably had anything on it for probably 20 years. All this property used to be all pasture land, and then they went and planted some forestry in it. So it's mostly in forest, but it's also 10 acres in agriculture. And like we can run animals over the whole thing, but like even this area is deemed forestry. But you can see we've got Scotch broom that's in here, and the goats and the llamas love it. Oh yeah, we're sticking the llamas out here too, because we've got them for livestock guardians on this batch, and then we've got the Great Pyrenees up on the other side with some more animals for livestock guardians over there. But anyway, there is a small little trickle, like kind of right through there, and then on the other side of that is the river. Like at that very top point of a tree right there, that one. And on the other side of that is where the river is. So we've got a pretty good system on here. And then the river pasture that I showed you earlier is that way a while, like a 5-10 minute walk. Okay, where I was mentioning that at gates I have handles for the gates, and I have 4 of them on this one. I don't use this gate particularly, but when we were offloading into the basement of the lodge when we were moving, it was just easier having a gate here. And if you look over here, it's a different type of fence I make, except the wood corner posts aren't on the edge yet. That is, it's way over my head, so it's like 6.5 foot fence where the llamas are. They're actually taking a dust bath inside my garden at the moment because they like that freshly tilled dirt, apparently. And on the corners there, I'll be putting wood posts, and that way I've got something tight or a good stretch against. And then just the 7-foot tall T-posts, actually those might be 10s, are just to keep the wire stable. But in a second I'll take you down the power line and show you what I'm going to push them onto next. But you can see how much I've got this one grazed, and this is good. This is not overgrazed. It's pretty much about what a lawnmower would do, except not as even maybe. But then again, the whole ground wasn't quite as even. Eventually we'll probably make it a little bit more flat. But what I want to do is push them down into the power line right away. And the reason being is because we get so much Scotch broom here, and it's a huge economical issue. It does like billions of dollars worth of damage to our forestry. and each of the seeds can be viable for like 60 years, so it's really, really hard to get rid of. But I'll run down there after I go through the other gates, so I'll show you a different gate system I have too, and dodge the goats, and then show you what I need to do here. And while I was filming, I thought I would show you all the milk I have to deal with today. Each of these is a half gallon, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gallons, plus some I have to, that's another gallon, those are quart jars, I have to pasteurize. So these ones are not pasteurized, and these ones are pasteurized. But we've been pasteurizing it for the baby bottles, let's try that again, the bottle babies, the dairy goats, and it breaks the CAE and CL cycles. And this way we can make sure that they stay disease free, and then we can go ahead and feed their children unpasteurized if I want to. But I have to do something with this, so it's 2 gallons for a cheddar cheese. Out of each one of those quarts, I can make about, well, no, that's not true. About 1 gallon will make me 2 pounds of cheese. But I'm going to make some goat milk chocolate hazelnut gelato today. And my citric acid isn't in yet, and with packing I haven't found my batch of citric acid yet. And as soon as I get citric acid of some kind, it won't work with lemon juice, I'll start making some goat milk mozzarella, and then I can go ahead and freeze that if I want to, so we can have it for pizza anytime. And if you've never had homemade mozzarella, oh man, are you missing out. And this is the chicken coop temporarily. Well, actually this one's permanent, but this is not going to be my normal chicken coop. We added on to it, you can see where the old wood is. For some reason, the people that lived here before us had half a chicken coop. Anyway, so I decided since we had to add on anyway, we might as well really add on. So there's only 1 chicken in there right now, but this is 10, 20, 30, 40 feet by 20 feet at the moment. And it'll be good to put our younger birds in before we either free range them or take them down to what will be our permanent facilities. But since we're on the topic of fencing, I thought I would show you fencing. And I like using no-climb wire for my chicken poultry coops, because you will never ever have to replace it, but it costs a lot of money. And this is just leftover chick wire that I had, and thankfully I had enough of it. And so I like using that versus the larger diameter, because chicks can walk right through it. Our lone chicken at the moment, she's a copper Marans, but she's giving us plenty of eggs. Okay, this is the other section of the 4th strand up at the lodge pasture. And this is just a cyclone gate because I really didn't want to deal with those and holding goats at the same time to bring them back and forth for milking and whatever else I needed to do to them. So just a cyclone gate, it's there, and I have a wire on it just for safety. And it works. It's not like the best thing ever. Like this side with the hinges, I probably want to use a T-post. I'd be using a wooden post with real hinges, but you know, it works at the moment. Darn llamas are taking sun baths and dirt baths in my garden. Well, they'll be kicked out of here soon enough. This one's keepsake. And while we're here, and these are one of my milkers. The Nubian's not milking yet. She's my lone Nubian. That is the remains of a pig pen that used to be up here. I'm going to burn pretty soon. This doe is not quite worthless, but pretty close. So I'm glad I'm not going to be milking her next year. And Zephyr and Victoria. Isn't she regal? Okay, I really am heading down to where the other pasture is. Okay, this is going to be basically the power line pasture. It's going to be really narrow, probably only maybe 80 feet across at the widest. Up here at this end it's probably maybe 40 feet across. But it's going to be 500, 1,000, 2,000 feet long. And I just want to really annihilate this area, basically. Have it get it so it looks like this versus Scotch broom, which looks like it's probably 10 to 12 feet tall in places. But there's a whole bunch of it. And if you look on one of my blogs, you can hear all of the particulars about Scotch broom. It's not native, and it's very, very invasive. Anyway, hope you like my video. This is like the first one I've done for TSP, so hope you guys enjoy it. Have a great day. Bye.